One Reddit user who goes by the name Antique Plankton said that she went camping with her boyfriend, his cousin, and some friends. One night, she said that she heard her boyfriend and his cousin talking about 10 to 20 feet behind her head while she was laying in her tent. As soon as she heard it, she said that her brain immediately registered that it was her boyfriend and his cousin speaking, but there was something off. The conversation sounded as if they didn't know English and they were trying to mimic it. She said that she got up to see if they were still sleeping, and they were. She said that when she got up and made noise in the tent, the voices stopped abruptly. She woke everyone up to tell them what had happened, but everyone chalked it up to being just the wind. She said that she didn't sleep a second that night, and early the next morning, she convinced everyone to pack up and leave.
I'm not trying to scare you, but this is terrifying. Remember when I said they were creating dragons in my past video? Well, now a lab funded by the same company has taken the DNA from a notosaurus that was found in Canada back in 2011. It had been preserved in ice for 110 million years. It had scales, claws, skin, all that still intact. Now to test things out, they started injecting small bits of DNA into pigeon eggs. And the pigeons started to grow strands of dinosaur features, like longer legs, and they started becoming bigger. Check this video out. Oh, but it didn't stop there. They started to experiment on baby chick embryos, and dinosaur-like creatures started to hatch from the eggs. Some even grew deformities, like this one right here, which grew no legs. Now this is where it gets scary. But before I even tell you, when you keep one of these as a pet, imagine you're given one by a scientist to take care of. Your third has to co-parent with you. Let me know who it is and tell me, would the baby dinosaur survive with them co-parenting, or is it doomed? Back to the story. They found out that the dinosaurs grew to full adults by around 2 to 3 months because it still had chicken DNA, and chickens grow to full adults after 45 days. One of the adult dinosaurs ate its caretaker. The company that funded the lab doesn't care and is proceeding to build a zoo where families can come in and see the adult dinosaurs.
Morbid Facts, Part 979. In 2015, 18-year-old Narendra Kumar from India was rushed to a hospital after suffering severe weight loss, stomach pain, and a swollen abdomen. Doctors were stunned to discover that he'd been living for years with a rare condition called fetus in fetu, where a malformed parasitic twin becomes trapped inside the body of its sibling during development in the womb. Surgeons removed a partially formed mass weighing over 5 pounds that reportedly contained hair, teeth, bones, and structures resembling limbs. The undeveloped twin had survived inside Narendra's abdomen for 18 years by drawing blood from his body before it was finally removed during surgery. In 2021, 11-year-old Lainey Perdue became the sole survivor of a small plane crash in Tennessee after her father reportedly wrapped her in a tight bear hug as the aircraft went down. The crash killed her father, grandmother, and another relative, but rescuers found Lainey alive in the wreckage with serious injuries, almost entirely concentrated on the side of her body opposite of where her father had been sitting. Family members later said investigators believed his body absorbed much of the impact during the crash, likely saving her life.
We've got some crazy things happening in the world right now. A team of robots were live streamed recently showing what would normally be an 8-hour human shift going days on end without stopping. A new study is saying that Americans over 50 largely view the economy as fairly good, while most Americans between 18 and 49 say the economy is fairly bad or very bad. A rock on Mars got stuck on Curiosity rover's drill, and it took 5 whole days to shake it off. A real weapon that was disguised as a Nerf gun was seized by the police in North Carolina. A bride and groom let their families at the wedding battle it out to decide whose last name they were gonna take. They straight up played tug of war and a couple other games. The groom's side did end up winning. A power outage at the Six Flags in Texas caused the riders of the roller coaster to walk down the tracks. Unfortunately, no one was hurt, but no thank you. Security experts are warning that AI can now steal fingerprints from regular high-resolution selfies. A college in Arizona used AI to announce the names of their graduates this year, and they skipped hundreds of students. Yeah. My name is Adorian. Make sure to follow me to stay in the loop.
The most nostalgic song of our generation. So there's a specific song that when people hear it, it automatically brings them back to quarantine in 2020. And when people also hear this song, they start imagining their dream bedroom they could sleep in, their dream shower they could shower in, or maybe even their dream toilet they could use the bathroom in. And a lot of people probably already know this song I'm talking about. However, the reason why people automatically think of their dream locations like this is because the pictures and videos this song is connected to. It made people romanticize about the basic parts of life since they were literally stuck at home, meaning it was a core memory in their brain. And here is the song. It really is so nostalgic.
The movie Locked is extremely unique, so let's explain it. It centers on Eddie, a struggling petty thief trying to stay afloat while dealing with money problems and personal failures. Desperate and looking for an easy opportunity, he spots what appears to be an expensive luxury SUV left unattended. It seems simple: break in, grab something valuable, and leave. But the moment he gets inside, everything changes. The doors won't open, the windows won't break. The vehicle isn't just locked, it's designed to keep him trapped. Then the calls begin. A mysterious man named William contacts him from outside the vehicle. Extremely calm, polite, and controlled. But beneath that calm is something much darker. Eddie realizes he hasn't stumbled into a random car. He stepped directly into a carefully designed trap created by someone with his own ideas about justice and punishment. What follows become less about escape and more about survival. The SUV slowly transforms from a luxury vehicle into a prison. And because so much of the film happens in one confined space, it creates an incredibly claustrophobic feeling, like there's nowhere to breathe and nowhere to run. What makes the film stand out is almost the entire nightmare unfolds in one location. The tension comes from confinement and psychological control. It turns an ordinary object, a parked car, into something terrifying. So if this sounds interesting, then go watch the movie Locked now.
Whatever you do, do not answer this phone call. This is John Pork. Now, he's supposedly a CGI generated influencer with an unsettling appearance. He seems to be half man, half swine. The creature posts videos of himself dancing and traveling around the world to popular tourist locations. But this is where things get scary. You see, John used to call everybody, but nobody would answer before he was sadly unalive. Yeah, John is no longer with us. He had went out for a night of fun and tragically was unalived. After this, people have been getting strange calls from a haunting contact that says John Pork. And if you answer, this is what happens. Before I tell you, I know this food look good. I'm sorry, I can't share. But here's what we're gonna do. Your fourth at has to make or buy you food for the rest of this month, since I made you suffer. Let me know who it is. Supposedly, if you answer the call of John Pork, you'll summon him from the dead, and at midnight, he'll appear.
If you guys haven't gotten the TikTok Farlands on your page yet, you've been missing out. The Farlands usually pops up at night when you're scrolling. It's just a bunch of just like distorted, sometimes AI, sometimes just very photo edited things. It's very scary, yet kind of comforting. I don't know like how to describe it. It's kind of like a fever dream. I'll play some videos for you guys and show you, but it's pretty fun. I don't know. What are your thoughts while watching these videos? Here's number one. This is another one. One of my personal favorites.
Congratulations, traveler. You have reached layer 4 of the...
But yeah, it's a bunch of like semi-creepy liminal space, like old footage, dreamcore, fever dream kind of vibes. Listen, I like that kind of stuff. Let me know what you guys think though. I've been liking so many of these videos that I've been getting the Farlands on my page like midday instead of at night now.
What's going on around the world right now? People are being charged for sheep worrying in England, and this is where you allow your dog to harass or bite sheep. China has started placing their solar panels on water so they can conserve their land. This is a video that was captured recently of an 8-foot, 23-year-old wolf eel that was swimming off the coast of Vancouver Island. This is a visual from inside the ST-40 fusion reactor, which is in the United Kingdom. Matter is heated inside of this thing to temperatures hotter than the sun's core, turning it into plasma. This is an actual image captured by an astronaut of North Korea and South Korea together at night with the border visible from space. The miracle Molly non-Euplets, 9 children that were all born at the same time, are now getting ready to start school as they celebrate their 5th birthday. This is a photo that someone captured recently in New Zealand of the night sky. Man, our world is beautiful. My name is Adorian. Follow me to stay in the loop and make sure to like this video.
How all the rappers you listened to crossed the line, and we were all wrong about them. Even the biggest, most powerful names had to do something to go from regular stars to global icons. But let's get one thing straight. Nobody gets there with just talent and luck. A new rapper starting out? That's a whole different world. It's not like they drop a track and instantly lose their soul or something. In the beginning, it's a slow climb. They start buzzing. But at some point, they hit a wall. That point where you're no longer just an artist, you become a global brand. And it's usually right then that they make a critical choice behind the scenes, one nobody really notices. Travis Scott before Astroworld was already good, but after that album, whole different league. Playboy Carti, we don't even need to say much. The whole vibe around him is straight up dark, and he owns it. And when you actually listen to some of the lyrics, it's hard not to feel like they're coming from somewhere else entirely, like it doesn't even sound like them anymore. Everyone here will have their own opinion and make their own judgment, but still, be careful what you're listening to, because sometimes it's not just music.
So apparently we've all had the same bathroom dream. For the last few days, my For You page has been full of pictures of bathrooms like this, and the comments are all mostly women saying that they've had dreams about this exact bathroom. It's usually dirty and disgusting. The stalls are way too short. A lot of times there's like double stalls, like there will be 2 toilets in a stall and you have to like walk past someone using the first toilet to get to the second toilet, only to find that it's clogged and also disgusting. Also, there's an overwhelming sense that this is in a school. Usually people are saying that it's like their middle school, which I was shocked to see this because I've been having this dream for years, and I'm so surprised to learn that this is actually kind of a universal experience. And not only that, but when I go into this bathroom, it's full of other women, and now a lot of people are saying that this is maybe some sort of dream world that we're all going to, and when you're in it seeing other people, those people are actually there, like those are real people that are having the same dream at the same time. One explanation I saw a psychologist say on here was that maybe this is our brain kind of telling our body to not pee ourselves as we're sleeping. It's drawing up this disgusting bathroom as a way for us to kind of hold it through the night. But this got me thinking of all the other shared dreams that we've had. Like, I know so many people that have the same types of dreams. One of them that I hear a lot is stress around test taking. Like, I'm in my 30s and I still have nightmares about being in college, being late for a math test, or realizing at the end of the semester that I've never shown up once for this math class. Like, it's always specifically math, and I hear that from people a lot. And if you've ever done theater, like, you know that theater dream where you've never learned your lines and you're in the wings trying to learn your lines before you go on stage because somehow you've made it the entire rehearsal time without ever learning what the play is about or any of your lines. But yeah, I'm curious, have you seen this place in your dreams, and what other recurring dreams do you have? Because I'm sure that we're all having the same dreams, and now I'm positive that we're all seeing each other in our dreams.
This child mutilation case will leave you speechless. In 2004, there was a 51-year-old woman named Dina Schlosser, and she suffered from postpartum psychosis. But while also suffering with this disease, she also committed the unthinkable. On November 22nd of 2004, Dina severed the arms of her baby because she claimed that God told her to. This woman was really under the impression that if she grabbed the biggest knife in her house and cut off the limbs of her 11-month-old daughter Maggie, that she would be restored and whole again in God. You see, this doesn't sound like a very godly religion. In fact, it sounds more like a cult guided by some very demented leader. And sadly, this woman, getting involved, being as sick as she is, decided to take the life of her own child with her bare hands.
The last humans still hiding from society. So when the coronavirus happened in 2020, about everyone had to go into isolation. Well, in 2021 was when a lot of people started to come out of isolation and the COVID lockdowns weren't as strict. However, when the lockdown did happen, there were some people who cut ties with everyone they knew and went and lived in caves. There were some people who even lived in the remote parts of the jungle, and some people even drove deep into the woods with their van and just lived there. Well, there's one problem. It's estimated that hundreds and thousands of people who went into isolation around the world are still in total isolation and have no idea that the pandemic ended years ago. But like, what are we gonna go do? Rescue them? And how do we even catch them up on all of the news that has happened since then?
This Christian movement believed that the Christian God was evil. I am of course speaking about Gnosticism. Now, Gnosticism refers to a range of different ideas that emerged around the first few centuries of Christianity. Much of what we knew about Gnosticism was actually lost. Our knowledge of it mostly came from those that criticized it. Well, at least until 1945, as that is when Gnostic texts were discovered in Egypt. Now, the creation story in these texts is what's interesting. Now, I'm basically going to be presenting a very brief summary of a summary by the scholar known as David Bracken. So Gnostics believed that reality was originally just a single supreme God, so complex that our human minds wouldn't be able to comprehend it. But over time, this God started to produce other deities known as eons. It produced quite a few, and they were basically in pairs, having a male and female counterpart. Now, they all existed within this great spiritual realm. But here's where things got a little messy. One of these eons was referred to as Wisdom or Sophia, and she decided to reproduce without a male counterpart. So she reproduced asexually. And while it worked, her offspring was this deformed, twisted creature known as the Demiurge. It was deformed, twisted, and evil, right? So what did the other eons do? They cast it out. It's put in isolation away from the spiritual realm. In its isolation, it decided to create its own realm, right? So it started to create its own eons and later our reality. But it convinced its creations that it was the supreme God. There was nothing beyond him, forcing its creations to worship it. But because it's so imperfect, its creations are imperfect, which is why our world is full of suffering and pain, according to the Gnostics. And according to the Gnostics, the Demiurge is the God of the Old Testament. So the goal of the Gnostics, at least those that believed in this creation myth, was to realize the reality of our existence.
Reddit user Xander101 said that when he was in his late teens, him and his family were living in a remote region near the Four Corners. His parents were pastors at a local church in a very small town. He said that ever since they moved there, locals had warned them about skinwalkers. One night, his brother and his brother's friend came banging on his bedroom door in a state of panic. They said they saw something on the patio, walking near the windows. They heard noises, and when they looked, they said that they saw the top of a white, bald head. He said that his brother was a huge liar, and that he was skeptical and annoyed, but he still decided to grab his jacket and his flashlight, and the three of them went out to the patio. He said that it was always creepy at night, because it was always so dark, and the only light came from a nearby lamppost a few yards down the street. He stepped out to the patio, shining his flashlight in the yard, but saw nothing. He said they started to hear the crunching of leaves coming from the front yard, so they went into the front yard. He said the front yard was huge. It had apple trees and one large creepy tree in the corner of the yard that he said he always stayed clear of for some reason. All of a sudden, he said that he saw something white walk behind a tree near the wooden fence. He said the three of them walked slowly to the tree. Before he knew it, he said he heard a loud whoosh sound and felt a gust of wind, like something had flown past them. His brother screamed out in pain. When he looked at his brother, he saw that he had 3 large scratches across his chest. Scared and shocked, his brother ran back inside the house, leaving Xander and his brother's friend. He said it all happened so quickly, but he ran towards the street where he was sure that whatever it was had gone. They heard the sound of feet running down the road, so they shined the light, but never saw anything. Xander said that he whistled a tune, and then he heard something whistle back to him. It was the same tune whistled back. All of a sudden, he said they heard a male voice say, "Hey kid, come here." That's when, without hesitation, the two of them bolted back inside. He said that he's never forgotten that encounter, but his brother brushes it off these days, making it out to not be a big deal.
Animals in Costa Rica that'll change your brain chemistry, pura vida. A kindergartner's caricature was brought to life and it's called a bush dog. They're so short they need a handstand to pee. Their closest relative is that, and in packs, they can take down a tapir. That's a tapir, basically a boneless rhino, also called the gardeners of the forest because they help spread seeds for it. They can also scratch your backs with their manhood and stand as a tripod. The agouti is another seed disperser, and they're somewhere between an economy capybara and a guinea pig. I was flown out to Costa Rica by Ted Countdown, that's TED, so just know that's the first animal you're gonna see. Same with the coati, which is not a moonwalking dinosaur, but a raccoon cousin that'll steal your heart along with anything else not nailed down. But what you won't see is a jaguarundi. Unless you're lucky, this unidentified feral otter is actually a cat, and the rich coast has plenty of that, including the cats that look like different stages of the same Pokemon. Did you know ocelots have these weird relationships with opossums where they seem like they hang out on the low, and science isn't sure why? Now the chances you see a jaguar on the beach are low, but folks just couldn't let it be zero. Thanks to conservation and human persuasion, America's biggest cat has made a comeback, and there's one animal that's real happy about that. Costa Rica is also home base to over 500,000 sea turtles, and the rise of big cats means less of the animals that would eat their eggs. Never mind that jaguars eat turtles, but it's actually the jaguars' leftovers breaking down and releasing nutrients like nitrogen that keeps the forest healthy. Everyone has a part to play, and that's on Ted. It's not just a turtle tourist spot. The mass mobile array migration runs past the rich coast. If you live long enough to see it, you're luckier than most. Now, one bird won't make your trip, but 2 can. But don't be fooled, they want you to think they're a pair, but I see through them. That's a rebranded woodpecker on steroids. Now you know it's real when you have squawking skittles flying above your head, and it's the first time I've seen an animal glow red. But you've seen macaws before. Let me know when you clock a resplendent quetzal. Definitely a life-altering bird to see, and every bird watcher's wet dream. Of course, a country touched by God has a Jesus lizard. The basilisk got its name because when times get tough, this lizard turns water into a runway. I can't explain why leafcutter ants gave me so much dopamine, but finding a whole trail of them meant something to me. Ants learning how to farm before us is really crazy. Also, that's the homie Maya. Say hi, Amaya. We also found a giant red-winged grasshopper. I don't care what y'all say, I think he's cute. But easily, the weirdest thing we found was right here. I didn't know what a planthopper nymph was, and now I can't get enough of them. Also, cookie for anyone who can tell me what the tail's for. Of course they have monkeys, you don't even have to ask, and by far the cutest. Squirrel monkeys make me want to work on myself as a person. I want to be better for them. But if I had to pick one favorite, one day we're gonna find a cure to cancer, and it's gonna be in a sloth. Studies say the algae ecosystem in the fur of the Costa Rican sloth contains antibiotics that we might be able to use to fight disease. And I was already sold on sloths. Ted brought us here to discuss climate change and conservation, but the main thing I learned is that Costa Rica is not real. That is someone's garden. Did you know Costa Rica holds 6% of the world's biodiversity, but only 0.3% of the real estate? Costa Rica's proof that if you're good to nature, she'll give it right back. And the ticos and ticas of Costa Rica love their nature. May we all learn to live a little more like Costa Ricans, and may you have the luck to see this for yourself. Pura vida, and the more you know.
You are not going to believe what's happening in the world right now. A robot fell and was dragged off stage while doing a Michael Jackson performance. For the first time in over 80 years of this study being tracked, more men now want their first child to be a girl instead of a boy. Bumble has introduced an AI assistant for matchmaking. The state of California is exploring buses being able to travel up to 140 miles per hour on freeways. Math and reading scores for US 13-year-olds have hit their lowest point since testing began for this in 1992. Hooters is currently in the process of rebranding as a family-friendly restaurant. A man in Pennsylvania was electrocuted while attempting to steal wires from power lines. An execution was called off due to the failure of finding a vein. About 50% of Americans had children under 18 in their house about 20 years ago, and now that number's only 40%, while pets in house is actually almost double. Human DNA was found in a 2 billion year old meteorite, according to researchers working on this in Australia. Other researchers are claiming that this was contaminated, but that would be crazy. My name's Dorian. Follow me to stay in the loop.
This body cam audio picked up something so eerie the moment Mackenzie Shirella was arrested. I've seen like one person talk about this and immediately I was like, there is no way. So I ran to watch the body cam footage myself and I heard it. And if you don't know about this case, Mackenzie was arrested and convicted after she intentionally drove her car at 100 miles per hour, crashing into a brick wall, killing her boyfriend and her friend.
Go now.
What's going on?
I'm not one to believe in this kind of stuff, but did you guys hear that whisper? It's so bizarre that everyone in this car passed away, and I think it speaks volumes that Mackenzie was the only one who survived, especially now that the documentary is out and we got to see who she really was as a person. I'm convinced that she was meant to survive and deal with the consequences.
Baffling Butterfly Effects, Part 6. In the winter of 1931, a young Danish carpenter was struggling to make ends meet for his 5 children. His wife had died a year earlier, and he was desperate to feed his kids, so he began building and selling a new type of children's toy. Just when things were starting to take off with the business, an electrical fire burned down his factory and his entire supply of wood. The carpenter began making toys out of plastic instead, and that's why we have Lego.
They try to erase this Egyptian pharaoh from history. This is the pharaoh Akhenaten, likely the father of the famous pharaoh Tutankhamun. He ruled for 17 years, but after he passed, ancient Egyptian pharaohs following him tried to erase him from history. They destroyed his sculptures and monuments. We only know about him because his tomb was discovered. Well, what did he do that was so bad? He basically tried to change the ancient Egyptian religion. Ancient Egypt was polytheistic, there were many gods, right? But he wanted everyone to worship only one, the god Aten, who, unlike other Egyptian gods, was not depicted in some sort of humanoid form, but rather as simply a sun disk. And he was to be considered Aten's intermediary, the only one that could channel Aten's divine will.
Mermaid bears are a concept I keep forgetting are a real thing. And that's not a joke. If grizzly bears had ocean sirens, they'd be this right here. Now there's a lot of ways that can make you afraid of this thing, like the fact that they're way bigger than you think, like 12 feet, 1,200 pounds. I could mention what they do to penguins, sharks, other seals, one time a whale, or I could tell you about the one time a person got marked by one. R.I.P. Kirsty, you did not deserve any of that. But instead, I'm gonna tell you a different story, because even after all these years, I still don't have answers. In 2006, photographer Paul Nicklin took a trip to Antarctica to find one of the most intimidating predators in the water. Which wasn't hard, because leopard seals are not like other predators. They're weird. Most predators are afraid of people. Bears avoid our voices, and a study showed that even the top predators in Africa hightail it whenever they hear human. And sharks barely acknowledge you, but a leopard seal will swim directly in your face and stare into your soul, and probably follow you around after. So when Paul found a seal, or I guess the seal found him, he ignored the pleas of his ancestors and got into the water with mammal mosasaur. Bless your heart, Paul, because a massive female sea leopard swam directly at him, and right when he was sure he was getting mauled, she just stopped and studied him. It's almost like Paul's lack of fear confused her, and the seal looked him over out of curiosity. She even studied her reflection in his camera. Then she swam away and Paul thought it was over. Until she came back with a live penguin, which she let go in front of Paul. And when Paul obviously didn't accept, she got another penguin. Then another. For the next 4 days, every time Paul entered the water, the leopard seal would be right there to greet him and attempt to feed him. I think she low-key got frustrated because she started bringing increasingly lower HP penguins. At one point, he had 5 past tense penguins floating around his head. Actually high-key, because leopard seals often blow bubbles when they're mad, and when he didn't eat the penguin, she basically water-sighed at him. Can we appreciate just how weird that is? Like, the only other time I've heard of a wild, not a pet, I'm not talking about your cat, but a wild animal straight up trying to feed a person, it was orcas. Best guess is she thought he was a seal with a severe skill issue, but that's still wild. Imagine a polar bear pulling up with DoorDash. You love to see it, unless you're a penguin. The more you know.
Mackenzie and her family were so adamant that she didn't know Davion. But what if I told you there were text messages that proved that they were closer than you thought?
About your daughter, I'm not hearing very much about the 2 dead people.
Dominic, okay, I'm asking you for leniency because this was a tragic accident that she does not remember. And Davion, he's a new friend. I'm so sorry.
Does that mean his life is worthless?
No. God, no, not at all. I understand what it looks like. I'm saying that it was a tragic accident. She would never.
Well, we're gonna have to disagree on that.
I understand.
Right.
I'm so sorry, guys.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Davion and Dom were close friends. That is very clear. That has been established. And in the court documents, there are all these texts from Mackenzie to Dom being like, why did Davion block me? She got mad and texted this a couple weeks before the crash. She then goes on and she's like, did you ask Davion to unadd me or something? She's like really freaking out about this. And it's like, if you guys aren't really that close, why do you care? If y'all really weren't friends, you wouldn't have noticed. She keeps sending Dom messages pushing like why she got unadded. Obviously, on top of this, there are many videos of Mackenzie getting really angry at Dom, and these videos were recorded right before the crash. They were fighting a lot, right? It sounded like Dom was gonna break up with her. Since Dom and Davion are close, good friends, Davion probably knew about all of this. And Davion might have been like, hey, I don't want you to feel unsafe driving home with her, especially because she's threatened to crash the car before. She made a lot of threats to him during that time, as we know. So he was probably like, hey, I'm gonna ride with you guys, hopefully to like de-escalate things. And that's why he was in the car during the time of the crash, I think. This is all alleged. Clearly, nobody is ever setting boundaries with Mackenzie. Think about her parents. Think about how Dom reacts. She just yells at him and tries to get whatever she wants.
You can't keep making all these threats.
Stop being a little...
I can't let you in my house with how you're acting. Like, it's as simple as that.
Dom, if you do not open... Like, you think I'm joking. You think I'm joking. Like, I said...
What do you mean?
You know it. That's exactly what I mean. You don't even know exactly what I mean. You're gonna come open this door right now, or there's gonna be a serious problem. I'm gonna count to 10. The door's gonna open, okay? You're gonna open the door. Stop hiding behind the door like a little bitch. Also, hi, I'm Grace. I like to talk about true crime, so if you like that too, give me a follow.
The transformations of all these celebrities are even worse, especially since they made some kind of deal with him. It's insane. How is no one noticing all these changes? Let's talk about their hands, because something is seriously off. Take a good look at Khloe Kardashian's hands in 2008. Nothing weird going on there. But if you look at her hands today, something is clearly not right. Like, how did her hands go from that to whatever that creepy thing is now? Luckily for us, the media is obsessed with celebrity jewelry, so it's pretty easy to find a bunch of pictures of Khloe's hands from before 2025, and those clearly show that something has changed. But she's not the only one. You can clearly see the same thing happening to Dustin's girl. That's what she and her hands looked like a few years ago. And now, same story. Something strange has changed them. It's like all their hands come with their own before and after versions. But the craziest case of all has to be Cynthia Erivo. Just take a close look at her hands here. No one's ever seen hands that long. And yet, when you look at her hands from before, everything looked normal. But a few years later, her hands changed too. And we've noticed something huge with all these transformations. It only ever happens to women, and it always happens right when their popularity suddenly explodes.
She tied up a Barbie doll and did stuff to it that she would later do to her best friend. 20-year-old Bethany Hill was a fun-loving girly girl from Stratford-upon-Avon, a town in England. Everyone who knew her said the same thing. She was bright, bubbly, and full of light. She loved makeup, music, hanging out with friends, and always tried to see the best in people, even when she shouldn't have. When Bethany was attending Stratford College, she became good friends with a transgender woman named Kaylee Woods. Bethany accepted Kaylee instantly. There was no judgment, just friendship. They talked about everything together, even the possibility of starting a family one day, and Bethany truly believed that Kaylee cared about her. Through Kaylee, Bethany met Jack Williams, who became her boyfriend for a short time. After they broke up, they remained close friends, and then Kaylee started dating Jack. At one point, Bethany needed somewhere to stay, so she stayed in the flat that Kaylee and Jack shared. Jack wasn't even legally allowed to live there because he was on probation, but Kaylee didn't care. She just wanted him there with her. As the three were living together, Kaylee noticed Bethany and Jack's friendship and how close they were. She started to feel threatened by Bethany and the attention that Jack was still giving her. Now, Kaylee had some dark fantasies, and those fantasies were to tie someone up, gag them, dominate them, and take total control over them. And the person she wanted to do this to was Bethany. On February 3rd of 2016, Bethany was attacked in the flat. She was restrained, gagged, tortured, and unalived in the bathroom. But Kaylee didn't call for help right away. She waited for more than 12 hours. Once Kaylee did call for help, her performance was dramatic, hysterical, and suspicious. She claimed that Bethany cut her own throat, but the operator knew that something was wrong. Kaylee's story kept changing, her crying sounded exaggerated, and she couldn't really explain anything. Once paramedics arrived to the scene, it was revealed that Bethany was in full rigor mortis, meaning she had been dead for hours. During the investigation, detectives searched Kaylee's grandmother's house and found something interesting. They found a box that belonged to Kaylee, and inside of that box was a Barbie doll bound with tape, gagged, and had its hair dyed to look exactly like Bethany's. Kaylee used this Barbie doll to practice how she was going to unalive Bethany. She rehearsed the restraints, the knots, the postures, exactly what she was going to do to Bethany. Now, Kaylee wasn't the only one who did this to Bethany. Jack also participated. Jack helped restrain Bethany, and prosecutors described it as sadistic and carried out for perverted pleasure. Both Kaylee and Jack were convicted and sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 26 years.